Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today I have my October TBR, which I went completely off the rails, like completely off the rails. I have 38 books that I want to read this month, which is mad, especially because there's two books that are kind of might spill over from September. My husband and I are still working on The Becoming by Nora Roberts. We're in the last third, but and there's still 2 days left in September, so we might be able to finish this, but there's a chance that it might spill over into the weekend. And then the other one is The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. And this one I'm about 65 pages in. And I'm planning on reading this all day Friday, which is the last day in September. But again, this might spill over to the weekend. So yeah, I already have those that I need to finish up, and I want to just go completely mad and read all these books in October. But I'm really excited for these books, and a big chunk of those, like 16 of them, are actually like old teenage horror books that my sister had and passed on to me. And I'm kind of going to be reading those for a throwback Thursday. A couple of them are little short, like children's books, like they're not going to take any time at all. And so, yeah, not all of them are completely crazy, and two of them I might not read at all. I'm not sure if I'm ready. They're the Jim Butcher books, the Dresden Files, the next two. Um, I kind of got burnt out, and the last book I read, I just didn't really enjoy Ghost Story, and so I ended up not reading them in August. I decided, nope, not gonna read them. September, I planned on not reading them because it was my birthday month. And so those two are iffy. So it might not be quite as bad, but it's still a huge number of books, and I'm definitely going to have to be strategic about my reading. I also I don't participate in readathons or anything like that because I end up stressing out. But for some reason, I decided to go with this. It's not actually a readathon. I was watching Amy at AStar Reads, her TBR game, and she always does a, a viewer pick or prompt. And I think it was like either, I can't remember exactly. It's been a couple days since I watched that, but it was either like steal a book from somebody else's TBR or um, a booktuber's TBR book, something like that. Well, she has this bingo board for October for Halloween, and so she ended up doing it, and the prompt was vampires. And I was looking at the bingo board, and I already had a couple others that I could get a bingo with. And so I decided, you know what? Like, I already have those on my TBR. Why not, see? But there was a few more that I needed in order to complete the bingo. And then the other line going the other way, I had like I think one, and I decided to add more so I get two bingos. And so I'll talk about that a little later, probably at the end of the video. But I will leave her video link down below, along with like the Google documents where you could get the bingo board. But yeah, I just thought, I'm already reading several books that would fit for some of those prompts, so why not go all in? But that's one of the reasons why I don't do readathons, because I become obsessive about it. So that's also part of why things started adding up as well. But I guess let's just jump right in. So the first one is a rollover from September. I ended up not getting to it, which I wasn't too upset about because I figure it's perfect for October anyway. And that is Death Note Black Edition, Volume 1. So this has volumes 1 and 2 of Death Note. And this is by Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata. And so yeah, this one is a manga. It'll be my first manga, but it should be pretty quick and easy to read. So this one's being rolled over, and I can't wait to get to it for sure. So that is the first one. Next, this one was kind of last spur of the moment. I kind of had the thought, I've been noticing a lot of people are putting practical magic on their TBRs. And I kind of already had the thought, but then seeing more people put it on, I had to go into town today for some errands, and I decided to stop at the library and see if they had practical magic because I love the movie. So my plan is to watch the movie and then read the books. And so I got practical magic and then the rules of magic. These are by Alice Hoffman, and so these are the two middle books. Um, this one and what's the other one called? I forget. I wrote it down here. So you have Magic Lessons, which is technically the first in the order that you're supposed to read them. They were published after Practical Magic, which they did not have that one. And that one I'm really interested in reading because it goes back to like the start of the curse. And then Rules of Magic follow the ants and when they're growing up. And then, of course, Practical Magic is based what the movie's based on, and then there's another one that comes after. So I plan on watching Practical Magic and reading these two, um, which I'm really excited to read these two, and I wish they had the first one. But at some point, I plan on buying these, especially if I do enjoy them, and so I will buy the first one as well, and then I'll be rereading them at some point. So those are the next two uh, on my list. But basically, you have the Owens women, and there's kind of this curse where anybody who they fall in love with is doomed to die, essentially. And so, yeah, and there's like in Practical Magic, she goes back home to her aunts, which are the ones that are in Rules of Magic, with her kids after her husband ends up dying. She has all these rules where, they won't do this, they won't do that. And then her sister ends up getting into some trouble with a guy, and just chaos kind of ensues. So, but really, really excited to read those. Next is the only book I'm reading from my 25 Days of Bookmas books this month. That is Duncton Wood. This is by William Horwood. This is a chunker of a book. It's over 600 pages. Um, oh no, not quite. It's just shy of 600 pages. It's 582. So this is one I'm going to be a little bit more strategic about just because it is such a chunker. Like, even though it's not quite 600 pages, I think it's going to be kind of a hard read. So my plan with this one is to break it down by either page set or chapter set and just read, so much each day, and then, be working on other books while I'm still reading this one. But I'll go ahead and read you the synopsis. This one, it's one of my most anticipated from that set just because it sounds like so much fun. It's animal characters and such, but it says Duncton Wood is the story of a quest into the nature of love and greed, of oppression and liberty, of integrity, grace, and the power of the spirit. Here in an epic fantasy of the highest order, William Horwood bestows upon the world of moles a mythic history that overflows with richness and fascination, involving the same momentous struggles between good and evil that have always plagued humankind. The moles of Duncton Wood are a varied lot. There are the aggressive West Enders, the independent East End Siders, and the secretive and sickle Marsh Enders. Despite their difference, all are members of the same once proud and famous mole system, and all are tyrannized by Mandrake of Siabod, a mole so powerful and senselessly destructive that his name is a curse on those who utter it. The source of the evil that spreads throughout Duncton lies not solely in Mandrake, however, but also in the growing disinterest in the traditions and rites surrounding the great stillstone at the heart of the ancient order. It is in the shadow of that towering stillstone that Bracken and Rebecca, daughter of Mandrake, meet by chance, exchange a few words, and scurry off in different directions, never to forget the moment in which the courses of their lives are forever altered. Only Holver the Elder, guardian of the old ways, can see that the future happiness of all moles depend on the enterprise and success of young Bracken, supported by Rebecca's love. Together with Boswell, the scribe mole of Uffington, Bracken sets out to revive the ancient beliefs and disperse the malevolence from Duncton. They seek the still mysterious and sacred seventh still stone. And so yeah, my husband actually got this kind of as a joke, but I love animal characters in books, and I actually think it kind of sounds interesting. So I'm really excited to read that one as well. But like I said, I'm gonna be strategic with that one and kind of break it up um, as I read others. Then I have my next two ABC Author Challenge books. So my T author is I think it's Chanan Tigay. And this is the Lost Book of Moses, the hunt for the world's oldest Bible. Um, and so basically, it says in the summer of 1883, Moses Wilhelm Shapira, archaeological treasure hunter, inveterate social climber, and denizen of Jerusalem's bustling marketplace, arrived unannounced in London, claiming to have discovered the world's oldest Bible scroll, written centuries earlier in the barren plains east of the Dead Sea and stashed away in the caves. The mysterious scrolls called into question the divine authorship of the scriptures, taking 3,000 years of religious faith and turning them upside down. When news of the discovery leaked to the excited English press, Shapiro became a household name. But before the British Museum could acquire them, Shapira's nemesis, French archaeologist Charles Clermont Ganneau, denounced his find as a fraud. Humiliated, Shapiro fled the country. 6 months later, he was dead. So, yeah, this one, I came across it and I thought it would be an interesting read. And one of the blurbs said, this book's plot is straight out of Indiana Jones and it's every bit as entertaining. An ancient Bible scroll gone missing, a mysterious death, forgery, a motley cast of characters, and a dogged intercontinental quest for truth. Um, Chanan Tigay reads the writes with the grand historical perspective of Eric Larson, the addictive storytelling of Simon Winchester, and the penetrating insight of Sebastian Junger. The Lost Book of Moses is an amazing story told by a writer of formidable talent. So, that was by Justin St. Germain, author of Son of a Gun. So, I don't know. We'll see if I enjoy this or not, but that's kind of the point of the ABC Author Challenge is trying new things. So, that one is definitely one I need to read. And then I need to read Exodus Revisited by Leon Uris. So this is my U author, and this one should be easy because it's just a lot of pictures. So this one should be easy. But Exodus is the story of the greatest miracle of our times, the rebirth of a nation. It tells the story of Jews coming back after centuries of abuse, torture, and murder to carve an oasis in the sand with guts and blood. Their story was a revelation to me as I discovered it in the farms and cities of Israel. These were Leon Uris's own words about Exodus. Now in Exodus Revisited, he returns to the places and the people that first inspired his famous novel. He takes you with him on his sentimental journey on this heartwarming return to the vibrant young nation with the ancient violent past. So I never read Exodus, but I still am interested. I mean, the pictures and the explanations should be really interesting to look at and read. So that's my U author. Those are the only two I'm reading. Next month I actually have three that I need to get to, but they're luckily shorter. So, and then these kind of tie in to why I ended up going with the bingo board. And so some of these will be on the bingo board, but like I said, I'll go over it when I get done with all these books. So first we have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I've never read Dracula. My husband had it, and so I decided, you know what, this October I'm gonna finally read it. And it also, I'm not officially participating, but since I'm reading it, it does fit for Victober. And so yeah, I guess I'm slightly participating in that, but everybody knows what Dracula is about. I'm not going to go into it. So there's that one. And then this one I saw it at the store. And if you followed my channel, I'm not a Stephen King fan. I don't enjoy his writing. I love his stories because I love like movie adaptations, based on his stories, but I don't like his writing. But I remember when I was a kid, this was the only book that I remember enjoying, and I almost got through. I never ended up finishing it for some reason. I think it had like a chapter or two left, and I never ended up finishing it. And that is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. So I saw this at the store, and I was like, that's the only book I remember actually enjoying. And so I ended up picking it up. And so it says Ben Mears has returned to Jerusalem's Lot in hopes that exploring the history of the Marston House, an old mansion long the subject of rumor and speculation, will help him cast out his personal devils and provide inspiration for his new book. But when two young boys venture into the woods and only one returns alive, Mears begins to realize that something sinister is at work. In fact, his hometown is under siege from the forces of darkness, and only he with a small group of allies can hope to contain the evil that is growing within the borders of this small New England town. With this, his second novel, Stephen King established himself as the indisputable master of American horror, able to transform the old conceits of the genre into something fresh and all the more frightening for taking place in a familiar, idyllic locale. So yeah, I'm really hoping I enjoy this because, like I said, I read it as a kid and enjoyed it when I had tried others as a kid and did not enjoy them because my sister is a big Stephen King fan, and so she had his books and I tried some of them, but then the next one I'm going to be reading, which I picked up a little while ago and at a thrift store, and I was like, again, want to read it in October, and that is the Inferno by Dante. This is book one in the Divine Comedy, and so obviously you have the different levels of hell, and really excited to read that as well. I don't think I'm very familiar with the Inferno, but I don't remember if I actually read it or not. So that should be interesting. Either way, I'm excited for it. This one, this next one, I only added because of the bingo board, and that is The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells. This is obviously the movie version cover, but it says this is the scenario for H.G. Wells' haunting classic, one of the most intriguing and visionary fictions. Living in the late 19th century and facing the impact of Darwin's theory of evolution, Wells wrote this chilling masterpiece about the blurring characteristics of beasts as they turn into men. Dr. Moreau, a scientist expelled from his homeland for his cruel vivisection experiments, finds an isolated island that gives him the freedom to continue a torturous transplant and create hideous creatures with man-like intelligence. But as the cruelly enforced order on Moreau's island dissolves, the true consequences of his meddling emerge. His new creations revert to beasts more shocking than any nature could devise. Today, when gene splicing and bioengineering are already accepted scientific procedures, Wells' dark visionary fable serves as a compelling reminder of the horrors reckless experiments can produce. So, never read this. So I'm excited to read it because I also been seeing the daughter of Dr. Moreau around. That's a fairly new release, and kind of caught my attention. But not being familiar with the actual story, definitely want to read this first, and then if I enjoy this, I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. I can't remember who that one's by, but I'll of course put a picture. So we have that one. The next two I'm only reading because they just go with the season and they're going to be super easy and short. So first was one of my husband's books. It says Never Say Boo to a Ghost and Other Haunting Rhymes by John Foster and Corky Paul. And so this is obviously really short. It's a kid's book. Lots of pictures and such, and it just has different rhymes on each page. So that one's gonna be fun. Like I said, I'm only reading it because it's perfect for Halloween. And then my husband convinced me to pick this one up when we were at the thrift store. And I did read the Little Critter books growing up. So this is Trick or Treat Little Critter, and this is by Gina and Mercer Mayer. Again, gonna be really, really short and easy. It's a picture book. So excited to have that. And then this is one I also picked up recently, and it's I got this at the used bookstore down near where the bigger city. And this is Edgar Allan Poe's Tales of Mystery and Madness, and it's illustrated by Gris Grimley. So it says the macabre beauty and sly wit of Gris Grimley's illustrated edition of some of Poe's best loved tales are destined to capture the imagination of a generation new to the master of terror, as well as delight longtime admirers of Poe, who will find much to relish in this haunting interpretation. And that's by Roger Corman, filmmaker, Little Shop of Horrors. So, but this has, I think, there's four different um, so the four tales are the Black Cat, the Masqué of Red Death, Hot Frog, and the Fall of the House of Usher. Are the four tales that are represented here. And again, lots of illustrations. Should be really really easy to read. So excited to add that one on to spooky season. So you can see, like, even though there's a lot of books, not all of them are going to take a huge amount of time to read. Next is my pick of my Nora Roberts books. I just completed my collection recently, and so each month I'm reading. This is a trilogy that I actually kind of forgot about, which I don't know how because it's one of my favorites of hers. It's a little bit more dark and ominous feeling, and this is the Circle trilogy. And so you have Morrigan's Cross, Dance of the Gods, and then Valley of Silence. And basically, this one you have Lilith the vampire that represents the dark, and then you have Morgan, a god, and she creates this circle of six. You have Hoyt and his brother, and then you have like another witch, a scholar. I think there's a shapeshifter and such. And I just these ones I remember I've read them multiple times, and just there's this very ominous kind of creepy feeling to it, and it's definitely, battle between good and evil. There's, travel, not only time travel but travel to like different realms. And I just remember really really enjoying these, and these are definitely the perfect vibes for October and spooky season, and they're going to be really quick easy reads. So I'm going to be reading those as well for October. So next is some new ones I got. The first one, which I got in my pre-birthday book haul, is The Hall of Places by T. Kingfisher. I've been wanting to read this author for so long now because I keep seeing them pop up on everybody's TBRs. And so, yeah, I got The Hollow Places, and this one just sounds like a good time. So, you have Kara, and she is newly divorced and ends up going to help out her ailing uncle. And she finds basically he has a museum of natural wonders, curiosity, and taxidermy. As she's closing up one night, she discovers a mysterious hole in the drywall along one of the museum's overstuffed hallways of oddities, an opening that impossibly leads Kara and her new friend Simon to a sprawling area that simply can't be part of North Carolina's plane of existence. As they explore the apparently limitless depths of this bizarre and frightening world, a hub containing portals to alternate realities, and bear witness to its cryptic warnings, they can hear you thinking and pray they are hungry. Kara and Simon soon realize there is far more danger here than first anticipated, for they have stumbled upon a place of unyielding madness and terror, haunted by abysmal creatures that gather strength from one's innate fear of them. So I'm so excited to give this a try. I'm hoping I really enjoy this author, and I'm definitely gonna kind of go down a rabbit hole of exploring more books by them. So that is The Hall of Places. Then this one I got from Thrift Books. I had a free credit that I needed to use, and I was kind of looking, and I came across this, and I've seen it on other people's TBRs, and it just is kind of caught my attention, and the premise of it sounds interesting. So that's Scythe, and this is by Neal Shusterman. So it says, a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now scythes are the only one who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequences of failure can mean losing their own. They learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. So, really excited to try this one, and of course, if I enjoy it, then I plan on continuing the series. The other one that I just recently got is Gallant by V. Schwab. I've never read this author either, but obviously pops up regularly, and I've been seeing Gallant regularly. And this is one I've almost gotten multiple times and never have. Ended up picking it up at the grocery store um, because it's like, you know what? It's time. It's time. And I just can't wait to read this, and it seems like perfect vibes for spooky season. So it says, all her life, Olivia Pryor has wondered who she truly is and where she belongs. Her only clue is a slim, battered journal, her mother's journal, full of entries that seem to show that she was unraveling and drawings that look like blots of ink, sorry. Until Olivia noticed a hand, a door, a bloom, a skull. Then a letter beckons Olivia home to Gallant, the one place her mother's journal said never to go. Olivia goes anyway, of course she does. What she finds is her last living relative and her family's manor, a manor with a ballroom and sitting room and a study and a sprawling, vibrant garden, and the crumbling ruin of a garden wall with an iron door, a door she must never open. But no one at Gallant sent Olivia that letter, and no one will tell her what haunts her cousin's dreams, what happened to her mother, or what lies on the other side of the wall. Do the shadows call Olivia home? What will they ask of her in return? So excited to finally get to that one because, like I said, it's been on my want to pick up list and I keep passing it over, but I finally did it. The next two are the Dresden File books, so I might not get to these. I'm still feeling a little bit burnt out, but I do. I was hoping to complete the series this year, and in order to do that, I need to get these read. So we have Cold Days and then Skin Game. And I did start Cold Days back in August, and then I was like, I'm just not feeling it. So I may or may not get to these. Basically, the Dresden Files, you have Harry, and he's a private eye detective wizard in Chicago. And he works oftentimes with the police, and now he's working with the um, White Council, and there's vampires, there's the White Court, Red Court, Black Court, and there's fairies and fae and such. So it's just a supernatural good time most of the time. Like I said, not like the last book, and there's just so many of them. I did kind of get a little bit burnt out. So those are the bulk of like the heart of what I'm reading. Next, I have a bunch of teen horror books that I want to get to, and I thought about breaking these down, but I'm kind of gonna do like when I read the Heartland series because I had 15 of the Heartland series. Sorry, I had 15 of the Heartland series. There's 16 of these books, and when I did the Heartland series, I had a big stack like I already do. Um, and so I'm not going to read the synopsis on these. They're just a bunch of, like I said, teen horror. And so I have two by A. Bates. I have The Dead Game and Mother's Helper. And so I'll be reading those two. Then I have a bunch of Christopher Pike books. And so I have, let's see, 6 Christopher Pike. So we have Road to Nowhere. Then we have The Midnight Club, which I remember reading this a couple times and actually really enjoying this one. Then we have Master of Murder. We have Final Friends, Book 1, The Party. Then we have The Last Vampire 2, Black Blood. And Chain Letter 2, The Ancient Evil. So those are the Christopher Pike books I'm going to read. And then my sister also had a bunch of R.L. Stein books. So let's see. There's 8 R.L. Stein books, which one of them actually has 3 different stories. So first we have The Beach House. Then we have The Babysitter 3. Then we have The Snowman, who lost his head. Then we have Halloween Night, which I'm going to put over here. Then we have The Dead Girlfriend and The Dare, The Third Horror, And lastly, this is one I read frequently as a teenager. We have Goodnight Kiss, collector's edition. So it has Goodnight Kiss 2, and then a new vampire story, The Vampire Club, which is like a really short story. Um, and so that's included in this book as well. So I'll be reading those three. That's the biggest one of the group. So those are those. I'm also going to be reading Impact Winter by Travis Beecham. I'm going to be listening to that one via audio, and the only reason I'm going to be listening to that one is because of the bingo board. So I'll insert the bingo board here, and like I said, again, Amy's video is linked down below along with the Google document where you can get the bingo board. So I'm going to be doing the fourth column and the fourth row, because that's where the vampire one is, which is the one that she picked as our prompt. And so obviously I got a lot of vampire books. I'm going to be using the Circle trilogy as the vampire rep here, because Lilith is a vampire, and then Hoyt's brother Kian is a vampire as well. So that'll be that one. For classic vampire, of course, it will be Dracula, or classic horror rather. Dracula. That's definitely classic horror. So I was gonna use that as my vampire book, but then it fit for classic horror, and I didn't want to double up the prompts, so we'll be doing that. And then for Stephen King, of course, we'll be doing Salem's Lot because I was already planning on reading that. So yeah, I already had, like I said, the Circle trilogy, Salem's Lot, and Dracula ready to go for the bingo board. For black or orange cover, I'm going to go with Halloween Night because you obviously have the orange and then the black background. So that will work for that one. And then body horror is the reason I added on the island of Dr. Moreau. Um, I was looking to see if I had anything. I just typed in body horror books and was looking to see if I had any of them, and this one popped up and definitely fits, so that's why I added that one. So that will give me a bingo going down on the fourth column, and then going across. So we already have vampires, haunted place. I'm going to use the hollow place because when I typed that in, this popped up, and I think Gallant might even work for that one. So I'll kind of read them and then decide which one works best for that prompt. I'm kind of going backwards. So blood on cover. I'm actually going to use Dante, the Inferno. I couldn't quite tell if there was blood, but if you look down here, the body's like cut, and that does look like blood. So I'm pretty sure that's blood, but like in here, I thought maybe that was blood, but I couldn't tell if it was flames because it's kind of the same color. But that body, I'm pretty sure that's blood. So that's gonna be blood on the cover, and then we have dystopian post-apocalyptic, which is the um Impact Winter book that I'm going to read. That's why I added that one, because I don't have any dystopian that I haven't really already read or DNF'd. So, and I do, I didn't cancel Audible after getting, I'm glad my mom died and the Priory of the Orange Tree. So I still have that available to me. So that's why I added Impact Winter. And basically that one, a comet came and hit Earth. And so Earth is like a frozen wasteland now. And these creatures, these vampiric like creatures, have kind of taken over essentially. It's been 7 years since the comics impact, and these creatures have taken over. So it sounds right up my alley. I love 30 Days of Night, the movie with Josh Hartnett. I love that movie. I watch it all the time when I'm able to, like every year or so. And that one kind of gives me similar vibes, just like the dark and then the vampires kind of taking over. So I think I'll really enjoy it, and it's short. It's only 5 hours, and it has a full cast. I've never listened to a full cast audio, and I've always wanted to give it a try because I think it would really help me. That's one of the reasons I don't like audiobooks, because it's hard, if it's the same narrator and different people talking. I think it's kind of hard. Like sometimes you get a little lost. And so this has a full cast, and I've always wanted to try a full cast audio, so I think it's going to be perfect. And then last we have Nevermore, Poe or Ravens, which I read Nevermore, this one, I still have it here. Nevermore by Harold Schuster, which is a murder mystery with Poe and Davy Crockett teaming up to solve the murder. But I read that one last month. It would have been perfect for this month. But I do have Edgar Allan Poe's Tales of Mystery and Madness, so this will fill that prompt. So I'll end up getting two bingos if I'm able to get them all read. So, said I normally don't do things like this just because I end up taking it way too seriously. But yeah, those are all the books I'm going to be reading in October. I know this video is a little bit longer, but there's a lot of books. Like I said, I'm gonna be strategic, so kind of how I did with the Heartland series. My plan is with Duncton Wood, I'll read whatever set of pages I need to read, and then I'll probably jump in and read one or two of these, at least one a day, because obviously there's 16 of these, so as long as I read one a day, that's just over 2 weeks worth of reading, and then I'll jump into whatever book I'm focused on that day. So it's definitely doable as long as I'm strategic about it, and then I have some of the shorter ones that I should just fly through too. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you here. This is a lot. Let me know if you've read any of these, which one you think is going to be the most exciting to read, and what you're most excited to read in October. Let me know if you're going to be doing the bingo board from Amy at AStar Reads, and I'll go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.